Hello everyone. So we're back with the latest endgame analysis. This game we're gonna be more specifically just looking at one specific move and kind of analyzing it and really talking about that, and that's going to be the main focus of this video. So let's go ahead and let's set up that position. Let's go ahead and let's advance. Some of the opening play is not the most standard, but that's not the point. The point is we're just going to be talking about a specific move, which is right here. After knight to c3, the player was playing as the black pieces, and they want to know, why does the computer think that queen takes d4, which was played in the game, why does the computer think that this move is a mistake even though it's winning a pawn? And so that's what we're really going to just be focusing on. Because, the thought that was mentioned was maybe, is it because the queen's coming to the center early on? Does that have something to do with it? And let's get into it. So first thing I'd like to point out is I find that I tell this to a lot of players because they're always looking at the computer variations and they think, well, the computer knows all. This is not the case though, because the computer, it can't read things the way a human can. And many players, they just want to follow what the computer says is best. But what the computer says is best is not always what's best for a human. So that's the first thing I want to get out there. The computer calculates things out, but doesn't play them the way a person would. So that being said, let's get into it. First off, also, I would like to say I would probably have just played queen takes d4 as well, because it's much simpler. And it's just simple OIC. I win a pawn, and it's pretty clean win of a pawn. Black gets an easy advantage. I would just probably play it this way. Now, let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of these variations that the computer finds, because it can easily find lines that you have to calculate out. So let's go ahead and let's see. So first things first, let's go ahead and just see that this is good for black. Even if something like a tempo move, like if knight f3, we don't really have to worry about this because we get this strange line. And after all of these exchanges, black comes up ahead. And we're fine if that's the case. Let's go ahead and let's look at one more option. If white takes, and this is what happened in the game, then bishop takes, and eventually later on black winds up winning the game after this, because this is a pretty solid advantage. We just have a decent material advantage, and that's that. But let's take a look at the move that the computer wants us to play. And when the computer called queen takes d4 a mistake, it's because it sees this other move. And this other move does lead to a more significant advantage. Although queen takes d4 is still a pretty significant advantage if you ask me. So the computer sees knight takes c6. One other thing I want to say is the computer, how it reads gives a number and reads a point value for what the position is. I don't know what the difference is in the position to where it declares a mistake, blunder, or whatever else there is. I don't actually know what the numerical value for when it decides that is. I don't really know. Anyways, here's what it sees. It sees knight to c6, knight takes e4, knight takes d4. And the point is that we have this on the queen here. We're also attacking the c2 square, and there's not really a good place for the queen to go. And that starts to make things difficult. And you have to see some of these weird intricacies going on here. So let's take a look. The computer, of course, wants you to play this, bishop g5, and we do all of this stuff. And then the point is the queen is still attacked. This knight is attacked. And we're also threatening maybe a fork here. So this queen doesn't really have someplace good to go. If if queen d2, then we take the knight. If queen d3, there's queen h4 check, and then this doesn't look too pleasant for white. if queen to g3, we would take the knight. If knight back to retreat, we take the queen. And so you start to see all of these types of things are going on. These are like what the best moves of the computer are giving, is because there's not many good squares for the pieces to go. And so, something like that is a little bit more difficult to see, that after these moves, that there will be just difficult places for the white pieces to go. That's a little bit more hard for a person to see. But what's really easy for a person to see is after queen takes d4, or instead of knight takes e6, after queen takes d4, I get a solid advantage. Not really too much of the problem. I don't have to calculate stuff out. And so on a practical level, queen takes d4 is a very good move. So I hope that answers what's going on with the computer and how it declares there's a more significant advantage. But okay. I hope that helps explain it, because there's really just the whole thing with the computer and how it thinks differently than people do. And yeah, so thanks for watching.